think murder until proven otherwise.
This search for a missing British teenager on the Spanish island of Tenerife.
Jay Slater.
Jay Slater.
The search for British teenager Jay Slater is being wound down.
Now we are continuing our coverage of the discovery of human remains in Tenerife. All indications are that these are the remains of Jay Slater.
Why did the seemingly straightforward disappearance of 19-year-old Jay Slater get so much online attention before his supposed remains were found almost 1 month later in an area that should have been the focus for investigators? Is it as simple as him going missing in vast mountaintops? Or is there something more sinister surrounding his disappearance? Join us as we take you through the timeline of events, the evidence we know so far, and delve into some theories surrounding the disappearance of Jay Slater. On the 16th of June 2024, 19-year-old Jay Slater and two of his friends, Lucy and Brad, went on a holiday in Tenerife, Spain. It was Jay's first ever holiday, leaving his hometown of Oswald Twistle, a small county in Lancashire, northwest of England. The three of them were expected to stay 8 days before returning back home and continuing their lives. Shortly after Jay disappeared, it emerged that he had been convicted as part of an 8-strong gang that attacked a fellow teenager in Rishton, Lancashire, close to his home in Oswald Twistle. The victim suffered a split skull and injuries to his shoulders and legs after being hit with a machete, axe, and golf clubs. Despite laughing his way through the trial, Jay was handed an 18-month community order, which included 25 days' worth of rehabilitation activities. On Sunday, the 16th of June, 2024, Jay and his friends attended the NRG Music Festival at Playa de las Americas Resort, just outside Papagayo Beach Club. At 8:35 p.m. that night, Jay was seen on a Snapchat video wearing a gray shirt and smiling. From what we know, this was the last Snapchat of Jay before his disappearance. According to reports, Jay left the club just before 6 a.m. after being invited back to an Airbnb with two men that he and his friends had spent time with whilst away. One of these men, Ayub Qasim, is a convicted drug smuggler and spent 9 years locked up in prison, and the other man is still yet to be publicly identified. The Airbnb was located in a rural town in the Northwest Mountains, 20 miles from the music festival, and took roughly 1 hour to get to by car. During that car ride, Jay posted a Snapchat saying he had stolen a $15,000 Rolex from a person, presumably at the music festival. Although authorities are yet to confirm or deny Jay had stolen the watch, his friends say this isn't something he would lie about. If our timeline adds up, 30 minutes later, at 7:30 a.m. on the 17th of June 2024, Jay posted this Snapchat at the Airbnb that he had traveled to with the two men. 30 minutes later, at 8 a.m., the owner of the Airbnb recalls seeing Jay.
I saw the boy in the morning at around 8 a.m. He asked twice what time the bus came. I told him at 10 o'clock. He came back and asked me again, and I told him again at 10 o'clock. After that, he walked off and I didn't see him anymore. Later, I went in my car and I saw him. He was walking fast, but I didn't see him again after that.
15 minutes later, at 8:15 a.m., Jay called his friend Lucy Law in a panic, telling her his phone battery was only on 1% and he was lost and in need of water. Even though Jay was told twice the bus would come at 10 a.m., he allegedly told Lucy on the call he had missed it and was attempting the 10-hour walk back home using the Maps app on his phone. At 8:50 a.m., Jay's phone cuts off with his last location showing as the rural de Tenno Park, a mountainous area popular with hikers. Not long after, at 9:04 a.m., Lucy calls Tenerife police to report Jay as missing, and also allegedly contacts the British Embassy to tell them the situation. Almost 18 hours later, at 2:30 a.m., on the 18th of June 2024, Jay's mum Debbie and his stepfather Andy are woken up by Lancashire police at their home and advised to fly to Tenerife as soon as possible. Jay's mom and brother Zach catch the first flight out of Manchester and arrive in Tenerife at 11:35 a.m. Just over 2 hours later, at 1:45 p.m., specialist mountain rescue teams and helicopters are deployed in the search for missing 19-year-old Jay Slater. Over the next 4 weeks, specialist rescue teams and mountain climbers would search the treacherous area where Jay's phone last pinged. And on the 15th of July, 2024, near the last location, human remains were found, reportedly wearing the clothes Jay was last seen in. In a statement made by police, Mountain Rescue and Intervention Group of the Civil Guard has located the lifeless body of a young man in the Masca area after 29 days of constant search. Given the complexity of the case, the discovery was possible thanks to their incessant and discreet search carried out by the Civil Guard during these 29 days, in which the natural space was preserved so that it would not be filled with curious onlookers. All indications indicate that it could be the young British man who has been missing since June 17th in the absence of full identification. The first investigation revealed that he could have suffered an accidental fall in the inaccessible area where he was found. But what made this seemingly straightforward disappearance so widely talked about? At the time Jay's disappearance happened, things just didn't quite add up. In fact, there's still so many questions that are yet to be answered. Like, why Jay was left by himself at the music festival, or why he decided to go back to the Airbnb, or even why he ignored the owner of the Airbnb about the bus times, and then walked in the opposite direction of the bus stop. But what really didn't make sense was how Jay, although allegedly walking through a popular hiking track, disappeared into thin air, with everyone who apparently saw him having different stories of the events leading up to his disappearance. This obviously fueled online speculation, causing Jay's disappearance to be one of the most talked about in recent times. In saying that, let's dive into some of the theories that made Jay Slater's disappearance so talked about. For starters, let's look at Lucy, one of the friends Jay had gone on holiday with. She told the media that she had last spoken to Jay at 8:30 a.m., whilst it's been reported the phone call happened at 8:15 a.m., which doesn't seem like a big mistake until you put it into context with the situation.
I'd gone home from the NRG festival a little bit earlier than everybody else because I was tired, so I'd gone home alone back to my apartment, and then I woke up to a phone call at like 8:30 in the morning, around 8:30, from Jay saying that he'd gone up to the mountains, that his phone was on 1%, so it was like about to die. He didn't know where he was. He needed a drink. That he'd cut all his leg on like a cactus, and that he had no idea where we were. So I said to him, like, if you're ever going to listen to anything I'm going to say, like, you need to listen now. You need to go back to wherever you've just come from before your phone dies, and I'll come and pick you up from there. Like, you need to go back there. He said to me, I can't go back there, I don't know where it is.
It's strange how it seems Jay was stressed about going back to the Airbnb, as it's hard to believe that at 8:15 to 8:30 in the morning, whilst it would have been daylight, that he couldn't remember where the Airbnb was.
So I just said, send me like a location. So he sent over a screenshot of his last location. So I went straight. The first thing I did when the phone had cut off was I rang the police. So I'd rang 911.
While we completely understand Lucy would have been in shock with the situation, she does seem to stutter a lot, and also mentioned she called 911, the number for emergency services in the USA, not the Canary Islands emergency number of 112, which may not be a massive deal until you remember Lucy isn't even from the USA, and that the emergency number she would be most familiar with is 999.
And spoken to the people there, and they told me that they'd sent a helicopter out, but later on I'd spoken to somebody who lived up in the mountains, and they'd said they hadn't heard any helicopters, which obviously if there was a helicopter out they definitely would have heard it. So I think they just totally fobbed me off with that. I don't even think they did.
It's hard to believe the police would lie about sending a rescue helicopter, especially when it's the first time they would have heard about Jay's disappearance.
So after like half an hour, I had no updates. So I rang back and I said, has the helicopter had any sightings of him? Has anybody seen him? Like, I'm really, really worried. They said no, they'd not seen anything, but they were like out looking for him. So I thought, right, I'm not getting anywhere with this phone call. Like, every time I'd ring the police, like, they just kept ending the phone on me. Like, they were just so unbothered by the full situation. So I thought, right, I need to get a taxi as soon as possible down to the police station and speak to them in person. So I got a taxi down to the closest police station. I was literally there within the hour of the phone call. So I'd gone in, I said, I really need to report somebody missing. But I said, it's not like they're just missing around here, like he's missing in a very like abandoned place. There's nothing up there, it's just mountains. She gave me a piece of paper that said that I needed to go online, fill in a form, and then within 48 hours I'd receive a code.
The process Lucy just described seems a lot more like a process the police would take before sending a helicopter. But if we turn our attention back to the timeline the media has told us, a helicopter was only deployed at 1:45 p.m. the following day, fueling online theories around Lucy calling the police, and then the police lying about the helicopter being deployed.
And then I could file a report. I said, within 48 hours, like, it could be fatal. I said, this needs reporting right now. So we'd come up, there was literally no sign of him anywhere. Like, we drove around all day. There was literally nothing, no sign of him. I went into a restaurant that was halfway up on the viewpoint.
And is that where you are now, Lucy? You're staying at the coast, but you're now up in the mountains where you think Jay was.
I've literally not slept at all since I've got that phone call at 8 o'clock.
We all hope that the search continues and Jay is found safe and sound. But the final question is, what is he like? What's he like at home? Is he sensible, or is he a bit more of a risk taker? What's Jay like?
He's not a risk taker at all. That he wouldn't do anything. Like, I don't know why. I can't understand why he would come out of the house and then decide that he was going to walk. I don't know why he would do that. And then I think he set off walking with back to it and not realised how far the walk actually is.
Surely something told Jay that the 1 hour car ride he was on only a few hours ago did not equate to a fast walk home. It's also hard to comprehend that if Jay was not a risk taker, according to Lucy, he wouldn't have taken a split second to look at the distance on maps, realize how far it was to get back, and then done the smart thing to not leave, considering he was apparently completely aware his phone was only on 1%.
And then when he's obviously, or when I'd spoken to him, he said he'd already walked about half an hour, and then obviously I don't know if he's walked half an hour down the road and then put it into his maps, and then obviously it said it's like really far. I really don't know why he set off walking. There isn't much up here. However, there are cars that come up here. There are people that come up here to hike. Like, I've seen so many people up here, and I've asked every single one if they've seen him, and nobody's seen him. And
as Lucy says, she has seen so many people up there, including cars and hikers, and let's remember this is at 8:30 a.m., when plenty of people would have been out. So how does no one see him?
This is what I find weird, because if he'd have seen somebody or a car or a person, he would have either flagged down the car, he would have said to someone like that he needs a phone to contact someone, and also he would never have his mum worrying like this, he would never have like his family worrying like this, he would never have us worrying like this. Like, if he saw someone, the first thing he would do is say, I need to ring my mum. Like, I know that for a fact. So I've never ever in my life been so worried at all.
You can understand why so much online attention was given to Lucy regarding Jay's disappearance, but let us know what you think. It does raise questions regarding the timeline and the events that happened, especially when 11 days later, Brad, who was the other person with Jay, went on an interview and said this.
You were actually on the phone to him that morning. He video called you. Tell me what he was saying to you.
He was on the phone and he goes, I'm not walking down all around that road. And he's gone over a little bit, like a little, not a big drop, just a little tiny little drop, and he's going down there. He goes, I'll ring you back, because I think someone else was ringing him. And he'll get you probably, if thinking like me, he would have went back up and started walking around the path again. He wouldn't have gone all that way down there.
So you said that you could see his feet and he was actually sort of sliding down the hill. Like you could hear the rock.
Yeah, that's how I knew he went off the road. Because you could hear, like, if you want to walk on gravel or whatever it is, you can, you know what I mean, it's storms.
Were you concerned at that point?
Not at the time, no, because we were both like laughing about it. He said, "Look where I am." Like, I just come out of a festival myself, because he didn't seem concerned on the phone until we knew how far away we were.
Yeah.
I said, "Put your location on." He said, a 50-minute drive or a 14-hour walk. I don't know if it's accurate or not.
Brad's interview made everything look even worse, almost completely contradicting Jay's phone being dead and the seemingly disorientated Jay. It also didn't help that in a Facebook group, someone said this about Lucy. "This is not fake. Lucy Mae is not innocent at all. I am a close associate to Lucy and others in the Tenerife and Ibiza area. Rumors are true. Lucy is a drug mule. We work together. About 20 of us split into groups, half to Ibiza, half to Tenerife. This is our job. We get brought out every event or any month in general to deal. Depending on who you are, how long you've been doing it, or what you've done, you all get paid differently. Lucy is more the top dog in it. Lucy gets paid 25 grand a month to deal and sell drugs. About 10 of us get 14 grand, and new recruits get paid 5 grand. Lucy met Jay at a festival and started discussing with him over Snapchat about how much we make doing all this. How it's a luxury, and we basically live the life. Jay came along to Tenerife and met me and Lucy there. Lucy explained the danger to Jay, and if we fuck up, we are basically dead. Our bosses take disrespect to heart and do not tread lightly from past experiences and what we have witnessed. We got dropped backpacks of packs, estimated about 17 grand to sell and dish at the festival, or in the streets in general. There was 5 bags and we got given designated bag holders who would have the bag 24/7, then take out however much anyone needed. Lucy had a bag, along with me, and also Jay. We separate into groups and go our ways to sell. Lucy then gets a phone call from Jay about 3 a.m. Monday morning, him crying saying he has lost the bag. Lucy didn't think anything of it until he told her that he's taken half them for himself already and the bag was stolen. Of course, we all panic as our lives are at stake here. This is someone's business and we've lost them 6 grand. We go and meet Jay and Lucy tells him how she doesn't know what she's going to do or what she's even going to say. At around maybe 5 a.m., our bosses ring, as that's the time they come to our current location to collect remaining packages and the money. Lucy didn't tell him on the phone that Jay had taken hold already and lost the bag on top of that. Around 30 minutes later, they come to collect and realize there's only 4 bags. We all get questioned, and that's when Lucy explains to him what Jay has done. Surprisingly, this was one of the most talked about theories surrounding Jay's disappearance. It also gave the online world enough context to this video that went semi-viral and then disappeared. Understandably, there seemed, and still does seem, to be more to Jay's disappearance than we had first thought. Even more recently, an interview with an apparent family member of a Tenerife worker close to the case came to life, throwing fuel on Jay's disappearance.
Was that a watch was taken from someone who was heavily drunk, who was taken advantage of, and I think that after, by the sounds of it, he's got himself a little bit scared when he's worked out that that person wasn't just a nobody out there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, but can I ask, have you ever had a Rolex watch or an AP?
Yeah, it wasn't a Rolex, just to clarify that as well.
The person in this clip says the watch is an AP, not a Rolex, meaning this watch could easily cost 4 times the amount a Rolex would. He then goes on to say this,
because the roommate of Lucy's, she had to be there present when that apartment was searched. Her, Lucy, and the landlord as well whilst the police and whichever other authority it was that was there to search that apartment, and again, because the information that I was told was that they believed that he was there hiding, and as it stands out, it clearly wasn't. He's been reported seen in quite a few different places.
Even now, past what, during the searching, he's been seen?
Again, I only spoke to my cousin, not yesterday, the day before, obviously, and he said again, it's all talk amongst workers that he's been spotted in quite a few different places.
And we would say
that must hold some truth to it, because the news reports today are all talking how he's very positive, as if he is still around and he is still alive. They've not gone into any detail of what's gave.
If we do refer back to the police statements, they did use language suggesting there was more to this story than what it seemed. For instance, this statement made by Spanish police says, "It's very unlikely Jay has survived if he got lost in the mountains in the way we were told he did." Two things even further increased the talk around Jay's disappearance when this statement came out. The first being that it implies that they're aware or suspicious that they haven't been told the truth about the way Jay went missing. And the other being police called off the search in the mountains for Jay on the 30th of June 2024, only 13 days after he was first reported missing, which we now can assume wasn't true, and that they were just trying to calm down the amount of misinformation going around online. What still doesn't make sense, though, is Jay's disappearance from the Airbnb. Whilst it was widely speculated that his friends had a lot to do with Jay's disappearance, it took his disappearance to another level when the media came out saying they believe Jay could still be alive after boarding a yacht. A new theory states the 19-year-old Jay threw his phone into the bushes in order to avoid being found, and could have then made his way down the nearby Los Gigantes cliffs via a safe route to a nearby jetty. Jay may have boarded a waiting boat and skipped the island, the Sun newspaper reported. Local guide Tammy informed the Mail that there is a well-trodden path from Masca, near the Airbnb where Jay stayed, which takes you down to a secluded beach, and a 14-foot yacht named Maruba was recorded sailing past Masca Beach around the time of Jay's disappearance. The boat mysteriously then vanished from electronic charts, the Mail reports, which is an unusual event. It could be explained by the captain purposefully switching off his transponder to avoid detection, the Mail added. Local rescue teams speculate that Jay left the main road in the direction of the cliffs in the belief it was a shortcut to the coast where he had been staying. We believe they're referring to this TikTok where the transponder turned off.
So the last known location of Jay was in Santiago, where he was last seen with two men sitting on a bench just outside of a church. And then at approximately 7:10 in the morning, a boat called Maruba went online. Shortly thereafter, the boat left one of the beaches that were just 2.5 kilometers away from the last place that Jay was last seen. The very strange thing is that the boat started circulating on the northwest part of the island at about 8:30 in the morning. And as we all know, 8:30 was roughly the time when Lucy received a phone call from Jay. Could Jay be on this boat? And shortly thereafter, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, the boat disappeared from the radar. Let me know what you think, guys.
This theory is also strangely coincidental with this footage, which shows people running to a boat at 5:30 a.m. at the exact spot where Ayub, the convicted drug dealer, said he and Jay stopped to get a drink before going to the Airbnb. The boat was later reported stolen, and the CCTV footage has now been taken down. The creator of the TikTok also gave us an update a few days later, saying this.
So the boat is back online. Well, it was back online 4 minutes ago for about 2 minutes, and the location of that is there just between the La Palma and La Gomera island. So as you know yourself, the transponder of the boat has been off for about 9 days, which is a very strange thing to do. Because the only time you turn off your transponder is if you're doing something illegal, such as illegal fishing, smuggling drugs or weapons. Also, on top of that, it only takes about 5 hours sailing from Tenerife to Morocco. So there is a possibility that the boat went to Morocco and went back up here and now it's back online, just between the two islands there. And it's a very strange thing to do, to turn on the transponder only for about 2 minutes. Could Jay be on this boat, or could he be somewhere else? Time will only tell.
It's widely reported that Tenerife has a history of drugs coming in and out of Morocco, which didn't help the speculation around Lucy and the criminal history of Up. As much as many would want to believe this is true, it seems as though none of this was. Rescue workers have found human remains close to where Jay's phone last pinged. But this also raises many questions regarding the search efforts. If this was the area close to where his phone last was, why was it not searched more in depth? Why wasn't the body attracting animals or birds above? And why did Jay Slater decide to walk through that area with no one seeing him? There still seems to be something to this case that doesn't sit right, and I'm curious to know your thoughts, so comment below. We hope Jay's friends and his family can all celebrate the life of the young 19-year-old and find peace in what has happened. And if you enjoyed this and want to see more true crime videos, hit that subscribe button and like this video.